Pleasant morning, wonderful afternoon, and fantastic evening. This is Carla from Rehan Allahwala's World of Connections. And today I have the honor to speak with Kassim. You changed your name, Kassim
Omska. It's Omska.
You have a different name here.
I don't know. No, that's the Omska is my family name. Yeah. Kassim Mohammed is my name. Yeah. Because it's very long. Yeah. It's Omska. Yeah.
But for the purposes of this interview, in the caption, it will be Omska because that's your Facebook name. Just so you know, I am not going to change that to Mohammed.
Okay.
And we will move on from there. Just so you know, I did not notice that until now. But anyway, we're going to be speaking to Kassim Omska, and learning about his life, his work, and his passions. He appears to be a very interesting person, and I'm excited to get to know him. As always, this show is sponsored by the Institute of Peace, which is an online organization promoting peace, one conversation at a time. Having said that, I am going to ask Kassim to introduce himself.
Fantastic. Very good morning to you, Carla, and the host of people probably listening now or later. It's just a great joy to be here and talking to you and knowing a little bit about you. And I feel really excited to be talking with you. So I believe that this conversation is going to be, if not anything, it will at least motivate a lot of people with what we are going to be speaking about. So personally, I have been in the business of buying, selling, as you call it, in the jewelry trade for over 30 years plus. I am a graduate by education, a business graduate, which you call Bachelor of Commerce in India. Thereafter, I went in to learn about the world of gemstones. I am a cutter as well. I know I have learned diamond cutting. Then I have learned about the stones, about the valuation, identification, and the host of other things connected with it. Now, by default, I am a jeweler because my father's business was in the jewelry line. He was a dealer in diamonds. So I picked on naturally after that. And more than that, I was in love with my profession from a very young age. Even at the time when I used to go to school, it was about 13 or 14 when I used to come back, and my dad used to give a lot of stones to bag them, to weigh them and kind of thing. So I used to be so mesmerized with the different colors of it. And I always had this feeling that I must know more about them. So this is how I would say a little bit introduction about me. Of course, to tell you that I come from India, the southmost part of India, which is the tip of India, you may call it, which is very close to Sri Lanka. You can even see the lights there in Sri Lanka, so we are very close and by the seaside. And that was a very small hamlet where I was born. But by the age of 7, 8, then I was brought to Bombay, where I had my formal education, because till then I was like reading the school, only the Tamil language. Now, in a couple of my interviews, always I make it a point to say that I have gone through a lot in terms of change, because when I came from the village to a school in the city, I was like flabbergasted. I mean, I was like shaken I was surprised, amazed, because I was in a class where my roll number, since I joined late in the school, it was 47, and that I was the last in the class in terms of roll number. And then those are the time when they used to give, your credentials, the ranking according to your, how you do it in class, your rank. So my rank as well was 47. I had the first year was rather a difficult period because they were the children. I went to a convent school where English was the subject of teaching, and I never had an inkling about English. I never had a chance to even learn the alphabet because back in the village, they started teaching English, the alphabets at the fifth level, which is fifth standard, we call it, And I had not attended this because when I finished my fourth, and I was already there in Mumbai. And the other language the children spoke were Hindi, because that's majority of the children, which they're not allowed to speak since it was a convent, and we were punished if you spoke that language within the school premise, So all in all, even when I come out of the classes, when I go to the school, when I'm out of the school, I could not speak any language. So that was a very, very difficult period for me. But I must say that it was because one of my uncle who took a lot of interest in me and used to push me to study and speak. And, I had a very rigorous kind of a training by him. And because of that, I was able to, what I must say is pick up my studies. And then within a year or two, I was coming in the 6th or 7th ranks. So that's how my school life was. Yeah.
Your English is so beautiful.
Thank you. One of the reasons, you rightly pointed out, because if you ask me what was my goal in life at that point of time, that was basically to speak English well. So I worked very hard on that. I give all my credit to my uncle because he was the one who really pushed me so very hard. And he himself was a voracious reader. So in our home, we had close to about 300 books or so on different subjects in English. And so, by naturally, I was tempted to read about it. So early on life, I was reading about so many different subjects, and I started to love and fall in love with the books, And as I said, I had these dreams even when I came out of the college. After I finished my education in the school, then I was in I became a Bachelor of Commerce. So even at the school times, I never felt that, in the college times, I never felt that, I'm still arrived in English. I wanted to speak well in a manner that an Englishman should come and comment me to say that you speak very well. Did you study somewhere in London, or you studied in somewhere in New York? Where did you had your education? This was the kind of thing that I wanted people to really say to me. So I was really working very hard, and I used to sleep with the dictionaries next to me, and I would read anything that was there, even on the road. If there's a piece of paper, I would want to stare at it, look at it, and then if I come across a word, immediately I will make a note of it. I always had the habit of a pen and a paper in my pocket. So whenever I come across a word, what I would do is write it down. And the moment I come home, it's I would throw off my shoes, and even I've not taken off my shirt, I would want to come and open my dictionaries. My uncle was very good in giving me the right kind of books. So I had many different dictionaries, 4 or 5 dictionaries. We had also translators from one language to another. So until unless I'm convinced about the word, that this is the meaning, I would never give up. So that was also one of the things which made me pick up the language, And after that, after I finished my graduation, let's say at the age of 21, and I moved to Dubai. So I was working in the jewelry line. Now, my father was already in business, and I went to Dubai for the one single reason, because my father was a little tough person, and I wanted to run away from him, basically, because he was, that was the reason I wanted to go. to work in Dubai. So he was a perfectionist, you know. When I used to write something in the paper, he used to ask me to write something, and then if he finds my writing going a little bit on a left or a right, just one little word, he would never want to rub it off and write. He said, no, tear the paper, write again. He said, leave this much margin on the left side, and you must leave this much margin on the right side. So the letter should come perfectly in between. It should not be one letter moving out from here and there. So he was so precise. So that too even gave me those kind of things. So I'm good in writing. I used to be punished by my uncle, actually, when I did something, you know, which was not acceptable. He used to say, go write 100 pages, you know, and I wouldn't get my dinner if I don't finish it by then. So I was treated very tough, you know. I never appreciated it at that time. But later on, I think whatever I gained is perhaps because of those kind of intensive training that I was given at an early stage in life, you know. And I thank him, and God bless him wherever he is now. And he just passed away, my uncle, just 2 years ago. Yeah. But one thing I want to tell you is, like, you know, just before his death, I think when I was in the village, he was a little bit sick, and I went to visit him. He said, I was the one to teach you English. And I remember that, you know, when I taught you, you didn't know nothing. And today I'm very happy to see that you are the best in the family, you know, in terms of language. Because, you know, when he writes some letters, I used to say, I think there's some mistake in here, if you don't mind if I tell you. So he used to laugh at me. He said, there was a time I used to teach you, and now you are correcting me, kind of thing, you know. So that was it. So carrying on with my journey into Dubai, where I worked for a company in the jewelry line, you know, that was in 1982. Thereafter, I left the company. I was there for 3 years. Then again, you know, for a short while, I was in India. Again, I was employed in another company. It's a very huge company. And it was just about 7 branches they had at the time, and they had a very meteoric growth. I was with the company for almost like 10 years, and I had an opportunity to lead the company. And when they find me that I'm resourceful, I'm hardworking, they kept promoting me. So from shop manager to the highest level, it was like I was the head of the organization, where I had, I think, the most of my training, I would say, because I had an opportunity to interact with a lot of people, because in that company, we had almost close to like 1,400 people working. So I had a lot of interaction, and there were people from many countries, you know. I can't just say how many countries, but that gave me an edge to understand about people, about the different cultures. And also, that was, since that was a very fast moving and a fast growing company, they gave me, they used to throw a lot of things at me, like, for example, training the people, teaching them how to sell, how to identify the stones, and teach them how to price the stone. And so kind of thing. So I was into buying, I was into HR, I was into hiring the people. So the one thing about my my nature is, like, you know, anything that is thrown at me, I would never say no. So I would go ahead without complaining and take the job on at my hand and try to do the best. So this was one of the attitude. Because of this, I believe that, you know, I had enough of chances in life, and then I never gave up on any chances, the opportunities that came my way. And what I used to do was, like, you know, let's take, for example, the teaching thing. So teaching every day a class of, say, about 100 versatile salespeople, you know, and then making the subjects very crisp, interesting every day was a challenge, because it's like, until unless you have something to give them at the same time, to have a very interactive kind of session where they can learn and also exchange information. It was very difficult, really, to keep them engaged. And they were people who have been in the business for quite some time. So there I learned that I have to really work very hard to prepare my lessons in advance, you know. So every day it was like early in the morning, at 7 o'clock, 7 to 8, we used to have these sessions, like 1 hour session. And so it was a quite interesting thing. Likewise, since I have a good understanding of the stones in general, the world of stones like ruby, diamond, emerald, you name it. And also we used to manufacture one of the smallest to the very biggest kind of necklaces, suits, with diamond and kind of thing. So I have the experience, through that, where I had a chance to see a lot many jewelry, and I take a different, definitely a big liking to the jewelry industry. It's like a part of myself. Some people wonder, like, if I'm going to say this one, even after a very hectic day at my office, at my work, I come back and maybe I'm looking already a book about jewelry. I'm just seeing some designs and I'm just marveling. And when it comes to stones, I want to say is like, as when you meet somebody, how much you will get excited when you see somebody remarkable or somebody who is very influential and somebody who's very friendly, you get excited, right? The same way I can say about the stones. So when I look at a nice ruby or a sapphire or emerald, I can look at it for hours together. You may be surprised. I don't know whether you had a chance to speak to somebody who had so much love for the stone as myself. And so much so, I can tell you that there are hundreds and thousands of stones must have passed through my hand, and I can recognize each one of them like as if they were my babies. So I know exactly where there was an inclusion, where there was some kind of a flaw, or where what was the height of the stone, what was the depth of the stone, and everything. And I would remember even from whom I bought the stone. So that's said about me. I think, was it a long introduction? I don't know. I can carry on and on. Carla?
Oh, it's perfect. I have gotten into stones to a certain point, and I've had my Jyotish done. And I'm wondering, what is the value of a yellow sapphire? I kind of consider that my magic stone. Can you tell me a little about that?
Fantastic. It's a nice, it's a lot of, many of the people ask this kind of question. A sapphire, let's say, for example, is a yellow sapphire, it's when the sapphires are generally blue, and you find in different colors. So when there is, basically it's a corundum, the stone, and any trace element is what gives the color to that yellowness into that. So different trace elements will give different color to the stone. Now let's say about the pricing. Now, as with diamond, like diamond has 4 C's you must have heard about it if you know a little bit about the stone, like color, carat weight, so kind of thing. But in the world of gemstones, it's altogether a different ball game. But the thing is, you can have a very beautiful stone, just 1 carat of yellow sapphire, and there is another one stone, yellow sapphire, the same color, same clarity. That means very clean stone. Let's say another one, the 10 carat stone is the same quality. So if you put together, if you match the color, you look at it, the brilliance is the same, the color is the same, the cut is equally wonderful. So there is 1 carat and there's a 10 carat. So the 1 carat would be about, say, $500 a carat, whereas the 10 carat will be easily $5,000 a carat. So if it's a $5,000 carat, it could be into 10 times, it could be, $50,000. Whereas this one is only. So now you can understand, if you have a price on one stone, say, for example, a 1 carat, that price cannot be applied to a 10 carat. So I'm broadly speaking, so that you have a better understanding of it. So, but it's like, that's the reason, of course, there is a demand and supply, which is also one of the reasons, because as you get bigger, the size of the stone to be bigger and cleaner and nice, lustrous, which are all natural. You cannot put colors in it. You cannot enhance the beauty of the stone. You cannot remove the inclusions, which are there right deep inside. So this is a part and parcel. It's like my face is natural. There are a few freckles in there. That's natural. I cannot have it removed, no matter how it is. So the stones are also, it's like individual, you cannot do much except for, of course, you can embellish it a little bit by cutting the stone, which you polishing the stone. But whatever said and done, the real, the personality of the stone cannot be changed. It will be the same. So to find a stone, which is like 10 carat up, becomes a rare. Even to find some 5 carat and up stones also becomes quite a rare thing. But whereas to find some small stones, nice color is easier done. So that's more commercial. I think I answered your question.
Yeah. So you're telling me, I was told that the yellow sapphire is for the planet Jupiter and having that grow in our lives. Is there any truth to that?
Okay, and now this is another realm, the gem and jewelry in general is something which has nothing to do with the astrologers attributing a certain thing, certain powers to the stone, So that's there are palmists, there are astrologers, and they are attributing each stone with the person's birth and kind of thing. So if you're ruled by Jupiter, yes, they say they always recommend you to an yellow sapphire. You must have seen that's, and you should be wearing on this finger, the first finger. That's I would tell you. But the gemology has nothing to do with that. In real truth, because it's a more scientific world where we look at the stone in terms of what family it belongs. And where it comes from, because for instance, ruby, for example, if you have a Burmese ruby and there is a ruby which is available from Madagascar in Africa, now both of them are also, it's a corundum family. It comes from the sapphire and ruby are the same family. But despite that, you see that ruby from Burma is considered to be one of the higher value than the one in Africa, because the one which is from Burma is very lustrous. You can see through the stone almost. It's like very clean, and you have a beautiful color. Whereas the one in Africa, in general, are very dark. It's not transparent. It's translucent. So the prices, and also the Burmese rubies are few and far in between, very small numbers it's mined. So the prices of these stones are very high compared to the one in Africa, which is, it is available in plenty, and then it's not as pricey as the one in, say, for instance, Burma. So that's why a similar looking stone, let's say, for example, the Burmese and the one which is in Africa may be the same size. And the colors, as I told you, will not be the same. And the quality, maybe the top quality of one in Madagascar, the top quality of the one in, say, for instance, Burma, there's a huge difference. Just to let you know, a top quality, let's say a 3 carat ruby could be somewhere close to about $75,000 to $100,000 a carat. Whereas the same thing, yes. Whereas the same thing, a 3 or 4 carat, you could find something close to about $3,000 to $4,000 or $5,000 a carat in Madagascar. So there's a lot of difference also because of the origin of the stone, where it comes from. And then you may ask, naturally, people tend to ask, how do you know where it comes from? So I always tell people, when I take the stones in my hand, I tell them, don't tell me the weight. I will tell you the weight. I don't weigh. I just weigh it in my hand like this, or just look at it. I tell them this must be 7 carat. It must be 7.1, 7.2. So they ask me, and I tell them this comes from, say, from such and such place. So they get shocked. I mean, how do you know? I mean, how are you able to tell the weight? So what I would say is, I'm not planning anything. I'm not working. It's something like the stone speaks to me in a way, So when it comes in my hand, I feel that this should be the weight. So it naturally comes out, You tell this. That's the kind of feeling you have when you're in contact with the stone over a period of time. And it's like a very long time. So 35 years in this line. So that's how it is. I think that my involvement and my experience in the stone has got to do with that. I think perhaps, I don't know.
And you've been experiencing the stones for over 35 years, correct?
Yes, yes.
Now, I have been following you a bit, and I see you on my timeline, and you seem to be a rather, I hate to put someone in a category, spiritual person. I know that I have shared a lot of your work. Where did this come from? Because you're such a businessman, and yet you seem to be involved with spirituality and growing yourself.
See, it's a very good question you ask, Carla. I think, we all learn with time. I think when I was working at that time, I hardly had any time to be, even to pray every day. So I was too busy. It was like my day would start off like 7 in the morning, and then I finish very late at night, sometimes like 10:30, 11 at night. So I was hectically involved with the company because I had a lot of, responsibilities in the company. So I was going from one thing to other. The best part is like I enjoyed working with the people. That's one thing I love to enjoy and like to hear people, and I understand the situations. And then we were a company. We were like always ready to do anything for the customer. So if you had a customer, say for example, in one end of the country, and he's looking for one particular stone or one particular necklace, I may be in a meeting. I always, I used to tell them, if I'm even in a meeting, you disturb me. So when there is something, a salesperson or a sales manager of that branch calls me, say, sir, I have a request. I have a customer with me and I don't have it in my store. Can you just see that, I get it? So I make sure that this customer waits there and I'm able to put this and send the goods across to him. No matter I have 5, 6 people, the suppliers waiting for me in different rooms and I'm already in a meeting. So we were a company like that. That's one of the reasons we grew very fast, because we took care of the customer. No matter what, when he comes in it, whether he's a big customer or a small customer, it doesn't matter. It's a small thing or a big thing it's not an importance. But we used to do was like, we try to see that we are able to bring those things which he needs it. And it could be in one of the stores. And since I was the one sending these goods to different shops, once it comes to the main office, we segregate the goods and we send it across to the people. And so most of the time, I remember very well, because I do the selection based on the individuality of the shop. Each shop is different in character. So I know, which goods should be going to that particular store. So I would easily remember that I would call up the shop and I'll get their item and send the office boy, somebody available. The first important thing is like, he carries in, takes it to the client there, and the client is happy, Those kind of services we do. And I think at those times, coming back to the story, that was the time when I was too busy with myself and I hardly time to be, religious in that sense. But in work, I was a very fair to people around me, and I always understood their, wants, desires kind of thing. And I took care of my people. I mean, and they always, and I don't like to brag, but I would like to say is like people used to always say that I heard them well and I did something what I can in my best possible position, So coming back to your story where you asked me what makes you so religious. See, after I left the company, I had started on my own. I had my own 6 to 7 stores. I had a lot of ups and downs in life. So if you ask me, am I a successful person? I said, I have more failures in life than success, I would say. But yet, what made me, if my success has anything to do with my failures, I would say definitely, because I have learned a lot in my failures than in my success. Because when you're successful, you think whatever you do is right and you get a little bit strong, you never care about the other things. But when you fail, you really look up and you really want to go back and see what went wrong and how it happened. And that was one of the things. And because of these failures, I had a chance to meet many people from many walks of life. And as I meet a lot of people, I traveled as well. I have traveled wide and far for business, where I met people for different businesses I have done. And I went to Africa, I went to many Asia, I was in America. So that was one of the reasons I had, when I started meeting people, I realized one thing, that you have to be a humble person if you want to be really good in life. And basically, no matter what you do, if you do good to others, that goodness will always return to you, because there's one above you, the creator, who looks at you. So it does not really matter what kind of clothes you wear and what kind of the expensive stuff that you wear on yourself. What is important is to wear a smile on you. That's what is most important, because that's going to make a day for somebody. And in our prophet, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, may peace be upon him, said that if you smile at somebody is also a charity. So you're not knowing people, it's a very difficult thing to come by, because normally, if in Western world, if you see, a lot of people would not want to smile at you simply. But then it's said, even to a stranger, you should say salam, and if you say salam alaikum first, it means you get 10 times, a benefit. God is more happy with you. So you say salam alaikum first towards somebody whom you don't know, and you smile. I mean, it's a kind of a charity. So that's, I think, is probably, a lot of, I would say, I would attribute that today, whatever I am is more due to my failures in life than my success, I would say. Does that answer your question, Carla?
It does completely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for speaking with me. Is there anything you want our audience to take from this interview with you?
Yes. All I want to say is be kind to people around you. The first thing that you can do, and be nice to those around you. That's the first and foremost lesson. That's what I learned too, and I would like to tell my people the same. And be humble and simple in life, which will go a long way no matter what. So education has nothing much to do in real terms, in real life, but people who are humble and simple will go a long way in life. And I wish that we should bring, including myself, I would advise, is to have these qualities.
Very nice. I want to thank you for speaking with me. And I want to thank those who watched or will watch this interview in the future on replay. And I'm so happy we finally got this done.
Fantastic.
Thank you so very, very much. And I want to thank the Institute of Peace for sponsoring this conversation, where we promote peace with one conversation at a time. And can we wave goodbye?
Thank you so much. God bless you, Carla. It was really nice and a pleasure to be talking to you. Thank you very much. Indeed.
Don't go anywhere. Goodbye.